Dubbed the jewelry thief, Stephen flees Belle and Shawn divorce days of our lives, DOL. Spoilers for Wednesday, December 4th state that Leo Stark, Greg Rickhart, overheard Stephen Olsen, Stephen Schnetzer, talking to his grandparents' plaque and discussing his reformed path. Stephen joined Leo for happy hour, and they spent some time bonding about their shady background, especially their shared interest in fencing jewelry. On Wednesday's Days program, Jennifer Horton Devereaux, Melissa Reeves, and Marie Horton, Marie Cheatham, discussed the lost diamond necklace with Lucas Horton, Brian DeTillo, and Sierra Brady Weston, Victoria Conifal. Lucas speculated that Stephen had stolen the jewels, which Marie believed was likely given his habit of stealing diamonds. When Sierra and Lucas confronted Stephen in the town center, he denied knowing anything about the lost necklace and insisted on his innocence. Lucas threatened to search Stephen, who refused and stomped off. Leo implied that Lucas and Sierra were hypocrites for leaping to conclusions about Stephen. That prompted Leo to recall Lucas kidnapping his ex-wife, Sammy Brady, Allison Sweeney, and Sierra's marriage to Ben Weston, Robert Scott Wilson, following all of his tragic actions. In Wednesday's Days episode, Julie Williams, Susan Seaforth Hayes, was perplexed by Doug Williams' III's, Peyton Meyer, comments about sharing a name with her husband. Doug explained that he changed his name and was the son of Douglas Dougie Leclerc, who was conceived through artificial insemination and later went by the name Charles. Doug III wanted to pay his respects after learning Doug was his grandfather during a recent family history lecture. Doug claimed that he had just been released from jail after getting into difficulty on his trip to Salem. Julie, on the other hand, was unconcerned as she hugged Doug and instantly bonded with him as a family member. Doug had planned to stay in a cheap motel, but Julie urged he stay at the Horton mansion instead. Julie introduced Doug to Jennifer and Marie after taking him home with her. Julie wanted to show Doug the time capsule and all of the family heirlooms, but Jennifer said they had already stored it for safekeeping. Doug acted astonished by the time capsule news and inquired about it while Julie was upstairs preparing his guest bedroom. Jennifer and Marie revealed that a valuable, emotional jewelry was missing, and Julie would be devastated if she found out before they could get it. Doug approached the surrounding family photos and removed the lost necklace from his pocket after Jennifer left to drive Marie to the airport. It became clear that Doug had stolen the necklace from the house earlier. On Wednesday's Days episode, Stephen crawled through the window again and told Julie that it was time for him to leave. After warning Julie not to trust all she heard about him, Stephen fled. On Wednesday's DOL, Sean Brady, Brandon Beamer, provided Belle Black Brady, Martha Madison, with some optimistic developments after Bo Brady, Peter Reckel, squeezed Hope Brady's, Christian Alfonso, hand. The physicians weren't sure what that signified, but Hope was making optimistic predictions and feeling hopeful. Belle worried if Shawn would be able to let go of his guilt if Bo awoke, but Shawn didn't seem convinced. They still didn't know how Bo would recover. Shawn stated that he was working on all of this in treatment, but he was also beginning to realize that he couldn't be the same man he was before. Shawn also didn't think they could overcome the distance and trust concerns, so he decided it was time to dissolve their marriage. Belle cried because she still loved Shawn, and he said he did, too. Even yet, it looked like it wasn't enough, so Belle consented to start the divorce proceedings. Belle eventually advised Shawn to take care of himself and hugged him before sending him out the door. According to Days of Our Lives spoilers, Shawn and Belle will have to figure out their own distinct paths forward, so stay tuned. Belle and Shawn's divorce, the end of an era. In the emotionally charged world of Salem, few couples have captured the hearts of fans as much as Belle Black and Shawn Brady. From young love and teenage rebellion to navigating the challenges of adulthood, they've been a cornerstone of Salem's storylines for decades. But even the strongest love stories can reach their breaking point. This week, Belle and Shawn make the difficult decision to end their marriage, a moment that shakes their lives and those of their loved ones. A tense reunion. The tension between Belle and Shawn has been building for months. Struggling with the aftermath of Shawn's guilt over his father Beau's coma and a series of missteps in their relationship, the couple has grown increasingly distant. As the episode opens, Belle arrives at the Brady pub, where Shawn has asked to meet her. It's a bittersweet moment as they sit at the table they've shared countless times before, the weight of their unspoken decision hanging heavy in the air. "I thought about not coming," Belle admits, her voice tinged with sadness. "But we owe it to each other to face this." Shawn nods, his eyes clouded with regret. "We do. For us. For Claire. Facing the truth." Their conversation quickly turns to the struggles they've faced over the past year. Belle recounts the hurt she felt when Shawn withdrew emotionally, especially as he grappled with guilt over accidentally shooting Beau. "I tried to be there for you, Shawn," she says, her voice breaking. "But you shut me out. And I didn't know how to reach you anymore." Shawn looks down, ashamed. "I didn't know how to let you in. I thought I was protecting you from my pain, but I only pushed you away." They acknowledge that while they still care deeply for one another, the trust and connection that once defined their relationship have eroded. Memories and regrets. As they talk, they reflect on their shared history. From their epic love story in high school to their adventures on the Fancy Face and the birth of their daughter Claire, their memories serve as both a comfort and a painful reminder of what they're letting go. "You were my first love," Belle says softly, tears welling in her eyes. "And for a long time, I thought you'd be my only love." Shawn reaches for her hand. "You'll always be my first love too. And no matter what, we'll always share Claire." The mention of their daughter brings a new wave of emotion, as both express their determination to put her needs first despite the end of their marriage. The decision. After hours of conversation, the inevitable moment arrives. "I don't want to hurt you anymore," Shawn says, his voice steady but pained. "And I don't want us to keep hurting each other by staying in a marriage that isn't working." Belle nods, her expression a mix of sorrow and acceptance. "You're right. We deserve to find happiness, even if it's not with each other." They agree to proceed with an amicable divorce, vowing to remain supportive co-parents to Claire and promising to always be there for each other as friends. Breaking the news. The next step is telling their families, a task neither Belle nor Shawn looks forward to. At the Horton house, Belle confides in her mother Marlena, who listens with a heavy heart. "I'm proud of you for making such a difficult decision," Marlena tells her. "But that doesn't mean it won't hurt." Meanwhile, Shawn turns to his sister Sierra, who struggles to accept the news. "You and Belle have been through so much," Sierra says, tears in her eyes. "Are you sure this is what you want?" Shawn reassures her that while it's a painful decision, it's the right one for both of them. Marlena comforts Belle. Later, Belle visits Marlena at the penthouse. As Belle shares her fears about starting over and being alone, Marlena offers her wisdom and support. "Endings are never easy, but they're also new beginnings," Marlena says, holding Belle's hands. "You're stronger than you think, and you'll find your way." Belle, leaning on her mother's strength, begins to see the possibility of a future beyond her marriage. Shawn's search for redemption. For Shawn, the end of his marriage prompts a period of self-reflection. He seeks solace in therapy, determined to work through his guilt over Beau's condition and become a better man for himself and his family. During one session, Shawn admits, "I've spent so much time trying to fix things for everyone else, I forgot to take care of myself. I need to figure out who I am without Belle." His therapist encourages him to take things one step at a time, reminding him that healing is a journey. The divorce papers. A few weeks later, Belle finalizes the divorce papers and hands them to Shawn. It's a somber but peaceful exchange, as both acknowledge the love they once shared and the respect they still hold for each other. As they sign the documents, Shawn says, "This isn't the end for us, Belle. It's just a different chapter. Belle smiles through her tears. I hope it's a good one. Moving forward. As Belle and Shawn begin their separate journeys, they each find ways to rebuild their lives. Belle throws herself into her career as a lawyer, while Shawn focuses on reconnecting with his family and rediscovering his passion for helping others as a detective. Their paths may have diverged, but their shared history and their love for Claire ensure they'll always remain part of each other's lives. A bittersweet goodbye. The end of Belle and Shawn's marriage marks the closing of a significant chapter in Salem's history. While fans mourn the loss of one of the town's most iconic couples, they also look forward to seeing how Belle and Shawn grow as individuals. In the unpredictable world of Days of Our Lives, one thing is certain: every ending is just the beginning of a new story. Doug the Jewelry Thief, a shocking twist in Salem. Salem has seen its share of scandals, betrayals, and unexpected revelations, but the latest twist involving Doug Williams has everyone talking. The beloved patriarch's legacy takes a hit when suspicions arise that Doug's grandson, Douglas Leclerc Jr., or Little Dougie, might be involved in a shocking theft that threatens to tarnish the Horton family name. The missing necklace. It all begins when a diamond necklace, a treasured family heirloom, goes missing. The necklace was recently recovered from a Horton time capsule, symbolizing generations of family memories. Julie Williams, Doug's widow, was thrilled to see the piece resurface, as it originally belonged to Alice Horton. Jennifer Horton and Sierra Brady discover the theft after returning to the Horton house. They are puzzled, as there's no sign of a break-in. Suspicion immediately falls on Stephen Olson, a distant relative with a history of shady dealings. However, the plot thickens when Doug's grandson, Dougie, arrives in town with a mysterious past of his own. Doug's grandson appears. Douglas Leclerc Jr., Doug's long-lost grandson, arrives in Salem unexpectedly, introducing himself to Julie at Doug's gravesite. Julie is overwhelmed by the revelation and welcomes him with open arms. Dougie, however, is not forthcoming about his recent activities, raising eyebrows among other family members. At first, Dougie charms the Horton family with stories of his grandfather and his desire to connect with his Salem roots. Julie insists he stay at the Horton house, unaware of the suspicions circling him. Xander's warning. Xander Cook, who has been trying to turn over a new leaf, overhears Dougie's name mentioned at the Brady pub. Xander has encountered Dougie in the past and knows about his reputation for conning people out of their valuables. Julie might see the best in him, Xander warns Jennifer, but Dougie's not the golden boy he claims to be. Jennifer, though reluctant to believe the worst, begins to keep a closer eye on the newcomer. Jennifer overhears. Late one evening, Jennifer overhears Dougie on a phone call in the Horton living room. She doesn't suspect a thing, Dougie says quietly, referring to Julie. The necklace is worth a fortune. I'll have it out of Salem before anyone even realizes it's gone. Jennifer is stunned but decides to bide her time, knowing she'll need proof before confronting Dougie or informing Julie. Hope returns to investigate. Hope Brady returns to Salem just as word spreads about the missing necklace. A former detective, Hope can't resist diving into the mystery, especially when it involves her family. I've seen too many cons to let this slide, Hope tells Sierra. If Dougie's guilty, we're going to find out. Hope begins digging into Dougie's background and discovers that he's been linked to several high-profile thefts across the country. Dougie's slip-up. Dougie's charm begins to wear thin as inconsistencies in his stories surface. He claims to have spent the last few years working overseas, but Hope uncovers evidence placing him in Chicago, where a series of jewelry thefts occurred. Julie refuses to believe her grandson could be involved in anything criminal. He's family, Julie insists. Doug would want me to give him a chance. Hope, however, isn't convinced and sets a trap to catch Dougie in the act. The confrontation. During a family dinner, Hope stages a moment where the necklace is found in a drawer. She places a camera nearby to capture any suspicious activity. True to form, Dougie sneaks into the room later that night and attempts to take the necklace. The family gathers to confront him as Hope plays the footage. "Why would you do this?" Julie asks, heartbroken. Dougie initially denies everything but eventually admits the truth. He claims he was desperate for money and felt entitled to the necklace as part of his heritage. A family divided. The revelation divides the family. Julie is devastated but reluctant to press charges, citing her belief that Dougie can change. "We're Hortons," Julie says tearfully. "We don't abandon family." Others, including Jennifer and Sierra, believe Dougie should face the consequences of his actions. "You can't just sweep this under the rug," Jennifer argues. "He needs to learn that there are consequences." Doug's legacy. The situation forces Julie to reflect on Doug's legacy and what he would have wanted. Ultimately, she decides to let the law handle the matter but vows to support Dougie in getting his life back on track. "I've lost too much already," Julie says. "But I won't lose hope that he can be better." Dougie's redemption? As Dougie prepares to leave Salem to face his legal troubles, he promises Julie he'll make amends. "You've shown me kindness I didn't deserve," he tells her. "I'll prove to you that I can be the man Grandpa Doug would have been proud of." Doug the jewelry thief, family scandal rocks the Hortons. The Horton family is reeling after the discovery that Doug's grandson, Douglas Leclerc Jr., is at the center of a shocking theft. The necklace, an heirloom tied to Alice Horton, was stolen from the Horton house shortly after it resurfaced from the time capsule. Initially, suspicion fell on Stephen Olson, who had a history of shady dealings. However, the truth points to Douglas, affectionately known as Little Dougie. The revelation came after Jennifer overheard a phone conversation in which Dougie planned to fence the necklace. "I didn't think it would be a big deal," Dougie tries to explain when confronted. "It's just a necklace, and I'm family. I thought I had a right to it." Julie Williams, Doug's widow, is devastated. Having welcomed Dougie with open arms, she struggles to reconcile the charming young man she embraced with his betrayal. "You've disgraced our family," Julie cries. Doug would be heartbroken. Despite her anguish, Julie remains torn between pressing charges and believing in redemption. Hope Brady, however, is less forgiving and uses her detective instincts to build a case against Dougie. "You can't let him get away with this, Julie," Hope warns. "It's not just about the necklace, it's about holding him accountable." In the end, Julie decides to let Dougie leave Salem under the condition that he return the necklace and seek help. With tears in her eyes, she watches as Dougie departs, hoping he'll find a way to make amends. Stephen flees, the runaway Horton. While the Horton family grapples with Dougie's betrayal, Stephen Olson becomes embroiled in his own troubles. Already under scrutiny for his past crimes, Stephen finds himself cornered when the necklace theft raises suspicions about his involvement. Desperate to clear his name but unwilling to face the potential backlash, Stephen decides to flee Salem. Before leaving, he has a brief, emotional encounter with Jennifer at the Horton house. "I didn't take the necklace, Jen," Stephen insists. "But no one here will ever believe me. It's better if I go." Jennifer begs him to stay and prove his innocence, but Stephen refuses. "I can't fight this battle here," he says. "I need to figure out my life first. Tell Julie I'm sorry." Stephen's departure leaves the Hortons divided. While some believe he's guilty, others suspect he's running because he feels betrayed by his own family's lack of trust. Belle and Shawn divorce, a love story ends. Meanwhile, the saga of Belle Black and Shawn Brady reaches its heartbreaking conclusion. After months of tension and emotional distance, the once golden couple decides it's time to go their separate ways. Their marriage has been strained by Shawn's guilt over his father Beau's coma and a series of personal missteps, including Shawn's increasing detachment from Belle. At a quiet meeting at the Brady pub, Belle and Shawn finally confront their issues. "We've been holding on for so long," Belle says softly. "But I don't think we can keep pretending we're okay." Shawn, his eyes filled with regret, nods. "I love you, Belle. I always will. But I'm not the man you fell in love with anymore." The conversation is raw and emotional as they reflect on their history together, their teenage love, their adventures aboard the Fancy Face, and the birth of their daughter, Claire. Despite their mutual love, they both agree that the connection that once defined their relationship has faded. "We'll always have Claire," Shawn says. "And I'll always be here for you. But it's time we let each other go." The fallout. The divorce sends shockwaves through Salem. Marlena, Belle's mother, is heartbroken for her daughter but proud of her for making such a difficult decision. "You're stronger than you realize," Marlena tells Belle. "This isn't the end, it's a new beginning." Sierra, Shawn's sister, struggles to accept the news. "You and Belle have been through so much," Sierra says tearfully. "I thought you'd make it through anything." Shawn reassures her that while it's the end of their marriage, he and Belle will always remain a family for Claire's sake. A somber goodbye. As Belle and Shawn sign the divorce papers, the atmosphere is heavy with both sorrow and acceptance. "This isn't how I wanted our story to end," Belle admits, tears in her eyes. Shawn reaches for her hand. "It's not an ending, Belle. It's just a different chapter." They embrace one last time before parting ways, determined to move forward with grace and mutual respect. Looking ahead. The intertwining stories of Doug's betrayal, Stephen's flight, and Belle and Shawn's divorce leave Salem in a state of upheaval. Yet, as always, life goes on in this iconic town. Julie vows to restore the Horton family's reputation and hopes Dougie will find redemption. Stephen's departure leaves unanswered questions, setting the stage for a potential return and reckoning. Meanwhile, Belle and Shawn embark on new journeys as individuals, their shared love for Claire serving as a bridge between them. In Salem, where drama never truly ends, these storylines are far from over. Fans can only speculate on what twists and turns await as the characters continue to navigate the complexities of love, betrayal, and forgiveness.